So is the Roots investment app into real estate a scam? Is it worth you putting your money into? And by the way, I know you guys have been seeing a whole bunch of commercials. They are doing a great job when it comes to marketing. But one thing is marketing and one thing is reality. It's like when you buy a car, you buy something and then they tell you everything's fine. You drive off, you're like, oh, this is great. But then you get like, something's weird, they're charging you more money for something and you're like, that's not what we spoke about. And they're like, yeah, it's right there in the contract. So I'm looking at their SEC filings. That's basically like the contract. That's basically the background, okay, to everything, to know how they make money and to know how you make money, if any. And by the way, in this video, I'm gonna tell you about like 10 red flags that I actually have with this company. And these are genuine questions I basically have. I wanna know more about it and I want them, if they want to answer it. And by the way, this video is just for educational purposes. It is just basically my opinion. You should probably know that. Now, here's one thing. I've always loved the idea of me getting together with the boys and saying, let's get some money together and let's buy some real estate. My friends are not like that. They're just not really interested. I only have one friend that does real estate and he does it in a different way than I would. So we can't really do business together. But I love this idea, but let's see if it actually makes sense. Now, some background here. Let's talk about what they're actually offering. Roots is offering people to basically invest for like $100. They have over 300 properties and they've been making, according to them, over 17% profits for you in the last 4 years or so. That means if I invest $100, I would have made an average about like $17 in profit. That is great, by the way. That is awesome because when you put money in the stock market, the way I invest, you make like 8 to 10%. So it's actually amazing if it is what they're saying though, okay? It sounds very attractive. The numbers are great, honestly. But what is the problem? What is the hidden agenda? So let's get right into the red flags here. Red flag number one is their CEO, okay? His name is Larry Dorfman. And he used to work for a company called like Easy Car before, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, that company had like bad reviews in Trustpilot apparently, but that doesn't really matter. It doesn't say anything about his character, his work, because some companies and some industries, people always just leave negative reviews. You're bound to get more negative reviews, like for example, if you work with insurance or things like that, just naturally, because people that have a good experience aren't gonna leave you a review, like a good review in the first place. However though, what I find kind of interesting is that he also owns like the management company for Roots, which kind of puts me at ease. Basically, that kind of makes me question things honestly and be like, does he really have our best interest in mind when he makes money from the management company himself? And here are some of the crazy things that I kind of find just a little weird. When you check their SEC filings, they do have, for example, a 3% acquisition fee. So when they actually acquire a property, that is a fee for them. They acquire it, they get paid. On top of that, they have a 10% management fee. That means to manage a property, they're gonna charge you around like 10%. And by the way, that's not that bad because usually like management of properties is around like 8 to sometimes even 18%. But here's the crazy thing. When you actually sell, well, they also get a 3% disposition fee. So what I'm noticing is basically that the incentives for the people that work in this company, from my perspective, is not really in profits and making you more money, but it's more in buying, keeping, and selling. They make money all throughout the transaction. If we are able to get like 18% rate for you guys, then we get a bonus or something like that. If we're able to get this much value for you guys, then we get a bonus, something like that, okay? Because the incentive would be to make my investors as much money as possible, if you know what I mean. So these incentives to me are just a little like strange, okay? Now, red flag number two is how a property is being valued. This is called like NAV, the valuation of it. And I actually saw a Reddit post on this, and the Reddit guy, he went and he did a whole bunch of research on the properties that they actually had, and he compared them with their estimates now, and they seem to fall like under what they're actually listing the value to actually be. But obviously, appraisals are a subjective thing. So I really can't say like, okay, it's the big deal in that way. But the point is, you could have a company with inflated value prices because they're using a different type of appraisal method. So my question is, how are they appraising these properties? with who are they appraising those properties? That's my general question here. It's something to always be worried about, because you can have like 10 houses, they're all valued at $100 million, but if you were to sell them, they would only sell for $2. You know what I mean? So it's how are they being appraised? That is my main question. Now, red flag number 3 is salary and and redemptions of shares. Okay, so apparently they have about like 37 employees when this Reddit guy made this article, and they were getting paid about like $25,000, not each, in total. So it means that each person is getting about $700. So my question is, obviously it doesn't work like that. Doesn't sound like it works like that. So I'm interested to see like how is their compensation with their employees happening? Like how many employees exactly do you guys have, and how are you guys actually paying them? You know, are you paying them with money, or are you paying them with equity? You know, and how does that work exactly? All these things are important, like when you're investing into a business, because the structure is so important, because it could mean you have a good company or you have a bad company. Now, red flag number 4 is notes receivables. That's basically, well, how much money the company actually owes to other people. When you are in real estate, the way that most people do it is by borrowing money from banks and so on. So there's usually going to be a level of debt to it. But they do have some notes receivable that they actually borrowed from someone. It originally was about like $1.5 million. Now it's about like $6.9 million. So it actually went up, which is a little crazy to me. Okay, so I want to know, like, how is that actually working out for you guys, as far as like the money you owe, who do you owe it to, and how are the terms for that money you guys actually owe? You know, like what's the interest rate? Is it an equity deal? Like how exactly does it work? That's my question here. Now, red flag number 5. This is the craziest one, honestly. Did I mention that this is the craziest one? It's called built-in gain. This is one of the main reasons that I personally would not invest with this company. And again, it comes down to incentives. The built-in gain basically says that the manager can actually make money by adding value to properties. And you might say, well, that's not bad, Tommy, because they're just basically adding value, so it's no big deal. But here's the problem, okay? So let's say management finds a property. They find a property that is $100,000. They put $50,000 into that property, okay? They fix it up. Then it gets appraised for $200,000. They have $50,000 worth of value in there, right? It's not like they're getting paid like a fraction of that. No, they can actually go ahead and sell that property to the fund. That means you as an investor, and they get to basically redeem all that value. I'm not sure if it's in cash or if it's in equity, but I don't like that, because the incentive is not on, hey, we found a property for 100K. We added 50K in value. We're gonna sell it to the fund for 150K. We're gonna appraise it now for 200K. The fund, the people have made a lot more money, okay? No, the incentive is basically on, I add value, and I already have people that are going to pay appraisal price for it. I don't like that. The incentive is not on making you money. The incentive from my perspective is on making me money. And again, the management company is owned by the CEO. Now, red flag number 6 is getting hit with is 6 to 8% early selling fee. Okay, so basically, I remember I had a CD once. Okay, I had a CD. All of a sudden, I needed money, and then I had to pay some crazy fee, which is kind of crazy, but that is what I agreed to. Same thing with this. Okay, I believe that is if you sell the investments like before the year, you can get hit with like a 6 to 8% fee. In the SEC filings, it says 6%, but also in their marketing and their whole little F and Q thing, it's F and Q. It's F and Q. I'm not saying a bad word. It's about like 8%. So I don't like that. I don't like being forced into an investment to have to stay there, especially because you can kind of compare this like a REITs, like buying like a REITs online, which is also like a stock investment in a way, but just like with real estate, and you can buy and sell whenever you want, and there is no fee. So I don't like this having a fee. Now, number 7 is going to be 100K investor cap plus 5% of the fund. So when they say like you can basically remove like 100K worth of your money like every quarter if you want to, the answer is not that simple, okay? If enough investors get together and they want to pool their money out, okay, at the same time, if it's more than 5% of the fund, they can't do it. They could actually say, we're not doing it. And if it's more than that, then what they can do is basically they will go ahead and say, well, we have these 10 people that want 100K each or whatever. That's $1,000,000. We're going to basically divide it down. Well, let's say more people, right? Like 20 people. We're going to divide it down the middle and we're going to give them to that like pro rata. All right. Everyone just gets a piece of it. They're not really getting all their money. All right. That's the idea. I don't like that because when things are going well, everything's fine. But when things are going bad, let's say, for example, it comes out that this company is doing something funky. I'm not saying they're doing something funky, but all of a sudden you want to take all your money out because you don't trust it. Well, you might not be able to. That's the idea. I don't like giving up that level of control with my money personally. Number 8 is going to be management has control over improvements. You might say, well, that's what they're going to be paid to do, right? Improvements. But if you watch one of Graham Stephan's videos on this topic, he actually had an experience where he had a management company managing one of his managing one of his real estate properties in California. This is a crazy story, guys, okay? And they had like a refrigerator, and the refrigerator had a problem that cost like $800 to fix, but the refrigerator was worth less than $800, and the management company went ahead and paid the money anyways to get that thing replaced. And guess what? The refrigerator went bad and they had to buy a new refrigerator. So then Graham Stephan apparently gets this bill in the mail for like over $2,000. He's like, what the heck just happened here? And they explained the whole thing, and he's like, you could have just bought a new refrigerator from the very beginning because it was going to be cheaper. All right. And he got really mad about it. But the same thing applies here. I don't like when I can't make decisions as far as like how the money's being paid, or I don't really know what they're spending the money on when it comes to improving the property in some senses. I might deem those things to be not worth it or a waste of money, honestly, in some ways. And we don't know. And they also own the management company. It's strange. You see, that's the main thing. Thank goodness I have an editor and he can kind of put all this into a full picture here. But we're going to have fund reimbursement is broad. That basically means whatever operating expenses the company basically has overall, or like the management CEO in a way has overall, well, we have to, well, not me because I'm not investing into this company, they can actually go ahead and get reimbursed for all those things, like whether it's $1 million or 10 million, whatever it is, they can get reimbursed for all those things. And as I understand it, there is no cap. And when you say, for example, operating expenses, like what do I mean? Okay, you don't know what I mean because it's so broad. It could be like anything for the most part. So I don't like that. Okay, it's too broad. I want to know exactly what you want to be reimbursed for. And again, I want to feel like if I'm investing into a company, honestly, that the company has my best interests in mind. Like they're trying to get me the best deal possible, like a fiduciary in a way. Like when I'm investing with Vanguard, I know they're kind of like trying to get the best deals out there or trying to offer me the best deals as far as like paying the least amount of fees. I like that so much, but I don't want to feel like you're benefiting and I'm not. And that's kind of how I feel when I look at all this information in the SEC filings, me personally. So overall, the main problem I have with this is basically the incentives. I believe the incentives are in line with them making money and less on like the fund itself becoming richer and wealthier and so on. And you might say, well, it is, right? Because when they buy a property, they're incentivized to buy because they get 3%. They're incentivized to keep the property, so they get like 10% management fee, but they also get a 3% when they actually sell. And they also get to keep in, like, for example, that built-in capital. So from my perspective, if I can put it in a way, it's kind of like, it kind of feels like I have you guys, let's say 10 of us get together, but I'm the one that's going to be doing all the work as far as like finding properties and so on. But I find these properties that might not be that great, honestly, but I'm going to get paid anyways. I'm going to get 3%. I'm going to fix it up, add some value here and there. And whatever that is, I already have people that are going to buy it. It's like finding subpar deals in a way, but not really caring because I already have people that are going to buy either way. You know, that's how it kind of feels. It doesn't really feel like, oh, Tommy's going out there, he's finding like the best deals possible, and he's giving us all the profits because the more money he makes us, he's gonna get a bonus. I have no problem with bonuses based on results. I don't have a problem with that. But on this, I do have a problem with it. Okay, so if you ask me, is it a scam? The answer is no. It's business though. And this form of business, I just don't like, honestly, like for me personally. But I could be wrong, okay? So comment down below if you are Roots and let me know and clarify some of these things. And maybe we can have a conversation about it. But from my perspective right now, I would not invest into this company, and I just rather put my money into VNQ, like some other REIT, take it out whenever I want to, and have, from my perspective, a bit more transparency in a way when it comes to those things. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Let me know what you think. Are you going to be using the Roots app or not? Peace.